mobilization in the Hague, which is Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Yes, the first speak to Korean comrades.
Stop the war machine! Down with Zionism! When the war stays silent, we must speak out. The Zionist regime has crossed every red line. In June 2025, they bombed Iran's nuclear facilities and energy fields, massacred civilians and assassinating scientists. Children were among the victims. This is not defense. It is premeditated imperialist war. But Israel is not acting alone. Behind them stands U.S. imperialism, NATO's war machine, and the global network of domination. From Gaza to Lebanon, from Damascus to Tehran, a war of conquest is unfolding, orchestrated by those who seek to redraw the map of West Asia in blood. Over 55,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered since October 2023. Syria's government has been overthrown. Lebanon and Iran are under constant threat. Still, Iran has shown restraint, refusing to be provoked into a wider war. It is not Iran, not Palestine, not the resistance forces, but Zionist Israel and its imperialist backers who are pushing for regional collapse. This is not just about West Asia. From Eastern Europe to the Pacific, the storm of World War III is brewing. NATO expands. U.S. forces threaten Asia, and imperialism foments chaos across the globe. This system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as designed to profit from war and crush resistance. But we are not helpless. The people are awakening. The people are uniting. From Palestine to Korea, from Iran to Venezuela, a global front against imperialist war is forming. And the bombing, dismantle Zionism, smash U.S. imperialism, victory to the anti-imperialist struggle.
Once again, down with NATO!
Down with NATO!
Down with NATO!
Down with NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Now, during the Communist Party marches Kenya, the statement will be delivered. Comrades, revolutionaries, and people in struggle, warm, militant greeting from the Communist Party Marxist Kenya. This message is sent to you from our Central Organizing Committee, from the heart of Kenyan Revolution, on behalf of our national chairperson. Comrades, Miwabu was invited to address this important anti-NATO mobilization in person. However, due to visa restrictions imposed under imperialist security protocols, he has been prevented from traveling. Let it be known, this was no bureaucratic oversight. This is a political act. This is how imperialism seeks to silence those who speak plainly, militantly, and truthfully against its war machine. But his voice cannot be silenced. His words will still march alongside you. His message will be heard, not because the empire allows it, but because the people demand it. NATO is on the shield of global finance capital. Comrades, we are gathered in resistance to a structure of domination. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is arm shield of global finance capital, the enforcer of Western monopoly power, the enemy of sovereignty, the greatest threat to peace in our epoch. democracy, it imposes dictatorship by other means. The dictatorship of capital, the dictatorship of empire, dictatorship of dollar. NATO, born for empire, not peace. When NATO was created in 1949, it was hailed as a peacekeeping alliance, but history reveals its true function. It was born in opposition to the Soviet Union and socialist bloc, born to enforce the post-war imperialist order, born to preserve colonial relationship under new flag and new forms. It was never about peace. It was about profit. It was never about democracy. It's about domination. NATO waged war not only with bombs and soldiers, but with World Bank, with the CIA, with cultural propaganda and military bases. It upheld apartheid. It trained fascists. It financed coups. It shielded capital from revolution. Europe is not free, it is occupied. Comrades, the CPNK rejects the false narrative that Europe is sovereign and free. Europe is occupied. US troops remain stationed across the continent. American nuclear weapons are stored under European soil. The economic policies of EU are subordinated by NATO's military doctrine. The so-called rules-based international order is nothing more than US dictated neocolonialism enforced by European intermediaries. The same Europe that lectures Africa about democracy is itself under military and ideological occupation. The continent once home to revolutionary uprising is now a staging ground for imperialist wars. A blood of Libya, a blood of Africa, the African continent has not been spared. The people of Kenya and the broader continent remember NATO not through slogans but through blood. It was NATO that destroyed Libya, turning the most developed country on the continent into a battlefield. Slaughers and corridors, a graveyard of migrants. It was NATO that bombed Gaddafi's convoy, assassinated a servant head of a state, and paved the way for open-air slave market. And it was Africa, NATO's retreat in Africa. Then, entrenching military bases, drone operations, and special forces across the Sahel. In Kenya today, we host U.S. military forces not by the will of the people, but by the dictate of the comprador regime. Our land is used to launch broad strikes. Our data is harvested. Our skies are not ours. This is occupation in everything but name. NATO is total war against humanity. NATO is not just military. NATO is total system of war. Military, economic, psychological, ecological, and technological. It is a network of bases, banks, satellites, think tanks, propaganda, surveillance, and subversion. It secures shipping lanes for oil. It guards lithium mines for electric cars. It ensures control over data flows, currencies, and pesos. It integrates Silicon Valley with Pentagon, Wall Street, with West Eastern, Bayer with German energy, and Army. This is imperialism fully matrix. As Lenin told us, monopoly, finance capital, militarism, and parasitism concentrated into a single organism. A new tide is rising. handled. In the Philippines and India, people's work continues. In Latin America, socialist renewal is underway. In Kenya, the working class and peasantry are building organs of counterpower guided by the Communist Party Marxist Kenya. Let not a tremble. The peoples of the world are rising, and this century shall not belong to empire but to revolution. The stand of CPMS. The Communist Party Marxist Kenya calls for the dismantling of NATO in Africa, the complete withdrawal of foreign troops from African soil, the nationalization of military infrastructure in Kenya under people's control, the explosion of all imperialist agencies operating under humanitarian cover, unification of anti-imperialist forces across continent into militant front of workers, peasants, youth, and oppressed nations. They call for internationalist unity, not in words, but in coordinated struggle. Final declaration, our voice will not be denied, that I could not be present today is itself a signal of fear. The empire hears our speech. The empire hears our movement. But our message has reached you. Our voice is here, standing with the flags of struggle, standing with the red banner, standing with the word anti-imperialist platform. To the workers of Europe, we say, your enemy is not in Africa, Asia, or Latin America. Your enemy is bourgeoisie. In Brussels, in London, and Washington. To the peoples of the South, we say, your liberation will not come from NATO states, but from united struggle. To the youth, we say, build a future, not with hashtags, but with revolution. And to the imperialists, we say, good time is up. Down with NATO, down with Africa, down with imperialism. Long live struggle, peoples of the world. Long live the world anti-imperialist platform. Long live proletarian internationalism. Socialism or not, we shall win. We chant again. Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Disband NATO!
Next.
Comrades, brothers and sisters, fighters for peace and justice. Greetings from the front lines of the world anti-imperialist struggle. We gather here in the Den Haag, just a few kilometers from NATO's Joint Force Command in Belgium, not as silent observers, but as resort combatants in a war of liberation. Not with bullets or bombs, but with truth, with unity, and with the collective power of the people. We say today, loud and clear, NATO is not a defensive alliance. It is the armed wing of imperialism. It is the command center of the World War III, and it must be dismantled. Since its formation in 1949, NATO has waged war not in the name of peace, but in the name of profit. Born under U.S. leadership after World War II, NATO's purpose was clear from the beginning: to crush socialism, plunder sovereign nations, and enforce the global dominance of imperialism. NATO's history is written in the blood of the oppressed. It is a long list of crimes, wars of aggression, occupation, destruction, and genocide. From Korea to Kosovo, from Afghanistan to Libya, and now from Ukraine to the Pacific. NATO has left behind a trail of rumble, ash, and massive graves. Let us remember Kosovo in 1999, when NATO bombed Yugoslavia for 78 days. Over 500 civilians were killed, thousands wounded, and the entire city is reduced to ruin. Clusters bombs, depleted uranium, and other banned weapons were used with impunity. The so-called humanitarian intervention was nothing but another imperialist invasion masked in liberal languages. Let us remember Afghanistan, 20 years of NATO occupation, where over 170,000 people were killed, millions displaced, and a whole generation was condemned to life under bombs and drones. What will NATO leave behind? A broken country, a destroyed society, and a deep wounded in the heart of West Asia. Let us remember Libya. In 2011, NATO launched 7,500 airstrikes in just 5 months. Entire families were wiped out. Hospitals bombed, schools reduced to dust. And what followed? The dismemberment of the nation, the thief of its resources, and the return of slave markets to Africa. This is NATO's legacy. NATO is preparing for the next phase. Its Pacific expansion, its war plan against China, the DPRK, and Russia. In 2024 alone, NATO staged massive military drills in the Pacific. Limpact, Pitch Black, Pacific Skies, Pacific Dragons. Make no mistake, these are not defensive exercises. These are rehearsals for war. At the NATO summit in Washington, they formalized the Pacificization of NATO. What does that mean? It means expanding their killing machine into East Asia, dragging Japan, the Republic of Korea, Australia, and others into a new front of imperialist aggression. The war in Ukraine is not a tragic misunderstanding. It is the result of decades of NATO expansionism, of broken promise, military encirclement, and strategic provocation. The war continues today, not because Russia wants it, but because NATO cannot survive without it. War is NATO's lifeblood, and now they dare to raise defense budget to 5% of GDP. In the middle of the economic crisis, while millions across Europe go hungry, freeze in winter, and struggle to survive, we say, not one more euro for war, not one more bomb in our name. We refuse to be cannon fodder for NATO's ambitions. We refuse to watch our future be sacrificed on the altar of imperialist expansion. We refuse to stay silent while our government funds mass murder abroad and authority at home. Comrades, Europe is not a big team. It is the land strip. It is the NATO's forward base. Hundreds of US and NATO bases stretch across the continent like cancer. Tactical nuclear weapons are deployed in Italy, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, preparing for a war that could destroy all of humanity. This is not defense. This is madness. NATO is the true threat to world peace. And that is, we say, disband NATO. Dismantle every NATO military base and every occupation. This is a global fight. Our struggle is one with the people of Palestine, with the resistance in Lebanon, with the people of Syria, Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba. Every nation that has stood against US and NATO domination. The imperialists want to drive us by nation, by religion, by ideology. But we will not be divided, because the truth is this: the people of the world share a common enemy, imperialism. And if we share a common enemy, we must forget a common front, an anti-imperialist, anti-fascist, anti-NATO front, a united movement
movement of the workers, the oppressed, and all peoples of consciousness. Let the world markers tremble in their bunkers, because the world is waking up. Let the NATO generals hide behind their words, because we are outside those words. They have tanks, but we have truth. They have bombs, but we have unity. They have empires, but we have history on our side. And history is made by the people. So today, from The Hague to Havana, from Gaza to Caracas, from Seoul to Donetsk, we raise our voice. Our demand is disband NATO now. Let us unite under this banner. Smash NATO, the imperialist war machine. Victory to the peoples of the world. Peace, sovereignty, and liberation for all nations. Down with imperialism. Forward to revolution. And let us pledge, as the World Anti-Imperialist Platform declares, we will stand at the forefront of this struggle without concession, without retreat, until the day NATO is more.